Sweeping coastlines, crystal clear water, pristine beaches. Ballina, known for its big prawn, has become celebrated for its idyllic surroundings, its surfing, and its water sports. Locals regularly use the water for all manner of things. They grow up in it, often make a living from it. But all this has changed this last year.
Last February, just 50 metres offshore here, Tadashi Nakahara was taken by a great white. Ever since then, there has been an extraordinary number of shark sightings, incidents, and further shark attacks in the region, leaving the community uneasy and unsure of what to do about it.
Shocked locals have become fearful of the water, and many of the region's popular beaches have become deserted.
The New South Wales far north
Just
coast,
recently
where
at
there's
Lighthouse
been
Beach,
another
20-year-old Sam Morgan encountered a bull shark, suffering serious leg injuries. All of this has had a profound impact on the community and the way they use the ocean.
Some Saturdays used to clock up like 6 hours in the surf, but now, these sort of two, shorter surfs. For me, surfing, there is a degree of anxiety the whole time, and you don't really recognise that until you go up to the Gold Coast and go surfing up there, which we do probably every second or third weekend, in behind the shark nets up there, and you just feel relaxed up there and sort of realise that down here, a lot of the joy from surfing has been removed, really.
Andrew Sharp has had a long connection with the Ballina region. An avid surfer, he and his family are heavily involved in the local surf lifesaving scene, and he has never seen the area like this before.
Sharks have always been around, but I think that the number of sharks and just the number of incidences do demand that something is done. Most of the community that use the ocean sort of think it's it's a question of who's next, not if and when there's an attack, because every weekend there's close encounters.
The dramatic rise in shark attacks along this coastline has come at a time when sharks have been seen close to the shore in often unexplainable large numbers. There have already been 14 attacks along this coast this year, including 5 at Ballina's Shelley and Lighthouse beaches, as well as a further 14 close calls. In comparison, there were just 3 unprovoked attacks last year in New South Wales. David Wright is the current Mayor of Ballina and has been on the council for 28 years.
Everybody talks about sharks an expert, and none of them agree. We found that out, but basically the DPI said that the chief scientist has never seen so many dolphins, sharks, whales and bait balls in one area, never. We believe that the current's been very warm, and where the bait balls are normally a couple of kilometres out to sea, but this year they're in very close, and of course the dolphins and the sharks have come in after that. You get in the helicopter and fly over the top, and it's like someone got Indian ink and just spilt it, and because there's a big black area, and that's all fish.
The drone of the helicopter has become a constant omnipresence across the coast, and it is a source of comfort for many of the locals. 40 times since July, helicopters have warned people to get out of the surf due to sharks.
You sit out in the surf and the helicopter flies past, and everyone sort of says keep flying, and it is very reassuring to see that someone can see up in the sky that there's nothing on top of you right now.
Without the helicopter, we would have been really disadvantaged, and we'll be approaching the Minister to fund more flights like that between now and Christmas. It's the time now between now and the holidays that we're really worried about.
One of the largest impacts on the community has been on surf lifesaving. Numbers are down and members are fearful of patrolling.
I think everyone's trying to persevere with their passions. So the Skull Candy, like a pro junior surfing event, managed to be held even though there was a shark attack 2 shark attacks in 2 days during the event. Nippers is continuing as well. Luckily we've got the lake because that's where most of it's being held, but with that numbers are down about 50%. So it's putting, like, a lot of kids are put off by the sharks. A lot less kids are doing lead-bar board riders and a lot less kids are doing nippers. So the kids in their nipper training, they don't want to be in the lake. You know, it's quite boring. You know, the board training, you know, part of it really is getting through the break. So the lake doesn't have that. So most training mornings, it's all in the lake, and then the last 10 minutes we go for a body surf in the ocean just to be in the salt waters. I think a lot of members that do patrols are very reluctant this year to do patrols. You know, with no one wants to actually swim out the back, you know, by themselves for any particular reason. They did all the requalification swims today in the lake instead of the ocean, just because, well, there's a shark at the front of the surf club tagged yesterday, but you know, basically a lot of members don't want to go in the ocean.
In spite of recent events, locals are adapting, using the Richmond River more, but the issue of shark management has become a divisive issue, and there is an undercurrent pushing for nets and culls.
Many locals remark that the Gold Coast have been using shark nets for over 50 years, and as a result there have been no shark attacks. And they question why the New South Wales Government and local council are not doing more.
The only way, you know, is to reduce the number of sharks that enter the area that humans go to. I think people don't want to openly, you know, stand up and say that they want nets, but everyone that I know that has kids involved in the surf or surf themselves, like, would love to see some direct action. And nets obviously have their downside, that they catch all the bycatch, and you know, no one likes, including surfers especially, no one likes to see a turtle or a dolphin or a whale or something caught up in a net. But you know, that's the only proven technology that can reduce it, proving that there's never been a fatal shark attack at a netted beach. I
think we're really going middle of the road at the moment, and I think that's what people want. There's been a survey done that 80% of the community doesn't want culling and nets. But there's also, you know, I personally believe that you're going into the shark space, but I believe there's an option in the middle of that. The sharks own the water. You know, anyone that goes out there knows that it's going to be sharks. Last year it was Western Australia, and the Western Australians put the nets out. They killed 132 sharks, and not one of them was a great white. And they've stopped it now. They're looking at other things. And I was totally against that, and I was saying so. I think just killing creatures to make it safe for us to use the ocean is not the best way.
David has been pushing for more involvement by the New South Wales and federal government, as the council's measures are becoming economically unsustainable.
I think it's 15 kilometres of beach. So what are you going to do? It's going to cost hundreds and hundreds, or it's going to cost millions, really.
And thanks in part to David's advocacy, the New South Wales Government has responded with a series of new shark statewide measures, with Ballina being the focal point, with funding of $16 million over 5 years.
We believe this is a world first, where we are integrating ranges of technology, physical assets and aerial surveillance to bring back the confidence for those beach goers and make sure that we assist them to reduce the risk when doing what we all love to do in New South Wales, and that's going to the beach.
New buoys using sonar and satellite technology will be installed, and drones will be used by lifeguards to expand shark surveillance. A new design of Eco Shark Net will also be installed at Lighthouse Beach, which is constructed of firm plastic loops, reducing the risk of entangling marine creatures. One of the first approaches the New South Wales Government took was the tagging of great whites in the Ballina area. Understanding the movement of sharks is key to implementing measures to prevent further shark attacks. This process is still ongoing, but in October, findings were presented to Ballina locals by the Department of Primary Industries.
Tonight was about hearing the views of the locals that have been most affected in the recent months about this, and also giving the feedback on the types of work and the information that our scientists are doing.
The recent attack on local surfer Sam Morgan has called into question the speed and timetable of the rollout of shark measures. The net is not meant to be placed until after Christmas, the peak holiday swimming season. This approach has generated both local and statewide criticism.
Sharks aren't looking at the calendar waiting for Christmas holidays to start.
Yet overall, the community's views on the nature of shark management remain mixed.
Well, I don't really think there's a heck of a lot we can do about it when they're tagging the sharks, but that's just tracking where they go and what they do. But, you know, you can't, I don't think we can really go with the netting, that's just going to kill all sorts of things. I think it's just a matter of observation, not going in the water when sharks are around, pretty much. You know, if I'm swimming at Shelley's, you know, I used to go out quite a long way, but I think twice about it now for sure. I still go in the water, but not as far out as I used to.
I think a net would be a good idea, but they would have to be checked because a lot of animals do get caught up in them, whales. I actually am too afraid to go in the water. I don't go up past my shins.
Sharks are annoying.
Sharks are annoying.
Sharks are pissed.
That's the final word.
With summer imminent, the biggest test still remains for the Ballina area. It has been a challenging time for the many involved, and hope remains that its status as an idyllic location will stay intact. James Redmayne reporting.